Some brands are legendary. In every category, someone sets the standard, and some companies create raving fans. Join Scott Wozniak and Caitlin Johnson of Swaz Consulting as we dig into the tactics and tools behind great organizations. How did the legends do it? And how can you become a legendary brand too? Caitlin, this is going to be fun because this is the first time we've done this. And I think this is going to be a cool new format for us because we just finished recently recording the episode with Jack Hollis. And like not just an hour ago, because as listeners, you guys are going to hear this. We finished it and like I immediately called her after we finished the official report. Was like, that was awesome. Like, oh my gosh, I got this thought. And like, what about this? But we didn't have time to properly discuss it. So it was like, okay, wait, we just need to talk about, well, the next time we got together to actually talk, it was like, there's so much to talk about here. Actually, then it prompted a realization like, wait a minute, I saw this like venture capital firm has a podcast where they do an analysis of acquisitions. And we were talking about that. And it's like, you know what? Let's not just geek out privately about this. We should record this. So this is not a new concept from us. This is our official debrief and analysis on reacting to the Jack Hollis, Executive Vice President for Toyota North America podcast. So if you've not heard that episode, let me just like start here, pause, go back, listen to that. And then this will all make so much more sense. Plus it was awesome. So
there was so much that he shared and I just re-listened to it again and is still mind blown. So I have to laugh, Scott, because this is in the moment, real, raw geekiness. You and me really just dissecting and reflecting on all of the amazing things that Jack shared with us about operational excellence and how his answer all pointed towards people.
I know. Listen, I started, right? I think I'm giving them a softball, right? This is Toyota and Lexus, right? I mean, hey, you guys are famous for excellence in your manufacturing quality and your measurement systems. And I mean, we know the histories and I've read the books and I've hung out with my friends, seen their stuff on the inside. There's a lot he could talk about. And honestly, I thought this is where we were going to go. Like, let's talk about the Kaizen process and this whole system.
Systems, right. Processes.
And he doesn't go there at all.
No.
I mean, now he does mention Kaizen and he gets there eventually, but he doesn't go there first. It was like, listen, if you want to talk about operational excellence, we got to talk about the people. And that alone, like now we can get into what he actually said about the people, but like that is super important. We don't miss that it's easy to talk about the technology stuff, but we've said this a lot when we talk about our operational excellence engines and customer experience. The single biggest factor in operational excellence is the quality of your people. If you rip the people out of the equation, I don't care how fancy your systems are. I don't care how cool your technology is. At the end of the day, you can't get operational excellence without great people who all in high quality. I mean, which is all the stuff he got into. But yeah, I was like, wait, where's the technology in this? Where's the measure systems? Where's the incentive structures? And
where's your new use of AI or, whatever like that. And I think that's what's so cool is that the differentiator is their people. So I've had a chance to work in change management functions for Fortune 40 companies where, they kept saying systems, processes, technology, and I'm like, where's the people? And of course, change management is a people aspect of change. So when hearing Jack just so like with such energy, such passion, such conviction to talk about how the people is what make the difference. I'm like people in capital letters and then systems, processes, technology.
Yeah. And it's funny, he got systematic about how he dealt with his people. And he really so I would tell you this because, this is not my first conversation with Jack. It's the first time I've recorded it and put it on the podcast, but he legitimately is passionate about it and his life mission, his identity, like how he sends a sense of like, how am I winning in life? If you ask him how it's going, he wants to tell you how well his people are going. And so I would just say that's one of the personal life lessons, maybe a challenge I'll throw out to others as well, is like, man, if you want to build great organizations, you have to become the kind of leader and person who takes personal satisfaction out of seeing other people win. And
Mm-hmm.
I see this shift a lot with leaders is like, so in our early stage of our career, right, we win because of the stuff we directly produce, right? I'm a individual contributor. I'm a producer. I make stuff happen. And as you go up the ladder and get more leadership and the organization gets bigger, you either figure out how to make this shift or you don't get a great organization. And you have to shift your sense of satisfaction, your definition of winning from what I produce to seeing other people succeed. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Right.
I directly do very little now. And I'd like, man, that was a great day and I got a lot done. And what'd you do today? Oh, well, directly, very little. Indirectly, I poured into Caitlin and Jack, and Jack got inspired, and I helped Scott deal with a
Mm-hmm.
problem, and like that indirect stuff is a hard shift for a lot of leaders. And I would say Jack lives that. He is passionate about seeing other people thrive. And
100%.
that is not trivial. I don't think you can get that level of excellence at that scale if you don't personally take deep satisfaction and joy out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy right there. Because in my mind, as I'm reflecting on what he said, like there wasn't a single ounce of his tone, his demeanor, what he was sharing that was faking. this
Yeah.
was this was true, authentic. And you had said something really interesting because I noticed there's a bridge from independent contributor to leader. And if you miss this key element, you're going to fall off the bridge. And the key element is moving from getting results by yourself to getting results through other people.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the power of leadership. And that's what Jack just emulates so well.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, he had a cool phrase the way he said it. You remember this? It was people before profits. And I've heard that one before. Okay, good.
Yes.
Good. And so we could stop there and be like, well,
Yeah.
and then he says,
Right.
people before performance,
Yes.
which is so interesting. Because that is often not what I've heard. Like that's a much more rare statement.
That one's scary. Like, let's go there for a minute, right? I mean, come on. Like, as leaders, we're held accountable to hit the metrics, to perform. And then if we're performing and gaining results through other people, then, and let's talk about command and control for a second. That was the older tried and true method of getting results done. Like, this is what I say, you need to do it. And now it's more of a collaborative effort of getting results through other people and with other people. But people before performance, like I had to pause him on that one and be like, I need to know what that means. Like, I get it, right? I get it.
Yes.
But how?
And listen, this is coming from an organization with very high performance standards that has like famously been incredibly consistent at delivering great performance. I mean, maybe if you heard this from somebody who's like, well, we don't always hit the mark, but man, we love each other. And like, you'd be like, oh, I get why you're saying that. But like the performance kings are saying, yeah, it's people before performance. And I'll highlight two things on this. First, he's not saying instead of. And I think that's the mistake. We create this false dichotomy, like, well, I have to pick, right? No, he's just saying sequence, priority, but not either or, right? Like if you get this,
that's a good point.
You get people, you get performance, but you got to sequence that right. You pour into your people, you get the right people. You do the people part right first. The result of it is performance, and so they didn't abandon performance, right? I mean, let's be clear. Toyota, dadgum, pretty serious about performance. I mean, we didn't get into this part, but anyone who's done any business study can know, like, massive company that measures and tracks, and like they're not casual about that. And he's saying people are even more important. So that'd be the first piece I call out. The second, it actually reminds me of what Truett Cathy, the founder of Chick-fil-A, said. And so it was this simple statement that I just, over the years, I keep chewing on it. And it just, the more I think about it, the more profound and powerful or like mature and deep it is. So he said, it's two statements that two-part statement, very powerful. First, he said, people are more important than their job.
Okay. Yes.
but nobody's more important than the mission. And for the record, I'm messing up the wording on that first one, and I'll remember it later and I'll kick myself. But like, we'll run with that for now. It's the right idea.
Sure.
It's the wrong phrasing. And so it's the people are more important than the job, but no
Yes.
person is more important than the mission. Okay, so if you take either one without the other, I think you get an unhealthy organization. So people are more important than the job. Like, hey, if there's a job to be done, but you've got a personal crisis or even just like life and career, this isn't what you're passionate about, what that you're made to do. We should put you on the right path. We will find a way to help you thrive, and we're not going to sacrifice you to get a task done. All right. People are more important than the job. On the other hand, this is critical in my mind. An organization is more than, it's different than a family. We like to say, hey, we're like a family. And in some ways, I think that's beautiful. And there's some family elements I would like our company to be like,
Sure.
But there's some parts it's not. Like family begins with, we are committed to each other, irregardless of what you produce, right? Where a priority is first and foremost, you're born into this, and then we'll figure out what you want to do. But a company has a mission. You can't fire people from your family, or at least actually you shouldn't. That's a whole other podcast, right?
Yeah.
There probably are families who fire people, but you probably shouldn't be firing somebody out of your family for performance behaviors, right? Like, we love you no matter what.
We'd all be on the streets.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. But companies probably should fire people every now and then and be like, listen, we exist for a mission. And if you are not on this mission, I might love you as a person. Hey, go find your mission. Because if you're not contributing to this mission, so it's the both tension. And Jack, their version's different. It's not people or performance. He just said, first get people, and then you're going to get your performance. And again, the details are different, but it felt very similar to Truett. Like, hey, every person's more important than their job. No individual is more important than the mission. It's like, all right, we're not going to abandon the mission because it doesn't fit you. Like, that's fine. We'll love you. Go find another place.
Which, let me go there for a minute.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing really is then hiring the right people, because you could easily say, you're not the right fit, we're going to fire you. And be very black and white, maybe command and control in your tone and demeanor, that, right? However, if we come at it from a higher human to human level, if you're hiring the right people because they believe in the mission, because they share the same values, if they have the qualities that you're looking for excellence, hiring up front, then the conversation, if it gets to a firing, is very different. It's more of, this isn't a right fit. How can we help support you? I have this idea, and when I talk with people that either report into me or peers, it's, you have to be honest and upfront about, is this the right role for you? And if it's not, and if you have the trust with that individual, and if it's not, then how can I support you to find the right role? And maybe it's not in this organization. I mean, gosh, we'd love to keep you. Of
course.
We, find a place for you, but how can we help you ultimately thrive? And I think that goes back to Jack and his selflessness that he was talking about as a leader, helping people.
It's funny when you just outlined that little discussion, that is almost exactly the discussion, even the same language that I had with my boss and mentor at Chick-fil-A that got me to leave Chick-fil-A and grow Swaz Consulting. Now,
and to have you be where you are now?
Yes, there was nothing wrong. It was not gosh, you blew this thing, let's talk about it. There was a bunch of outside opportunities, and I was like, hey, how do you say no to these? Because he gets a lot of that outside stuff as well. And so, but coming out of it, he was like, let's talk about you and your mission, and are you thriving? And I think you'd thrive better in this mission than that mission. And like, selfishly, we want to keep you. But so I've literally lived this. It's a really interesting place to be. I'll be honest. I'll say from the employee side, I did not want to hear that.
That you weren't for the right mission.
Yes, because I was like, listen, I'm going to make this thing work. It's good. I've got a plan. I'm working my plan. I'm going to do this job. And honestly, my hope was that, I'd stay around till he retired, and then I might step into his spot. And I mean, I guess this is going to be a great life, right? I got the next 25 years mapped out. And he's like, yeah, maybe not. And I have to tell you, it was one of the more helpful, meaningful leadership moments in my life. I mean, one of the top 5 moments that I would say is like a leader made a difference is he said, you need to rethink really, if you tell me this is what you're supposed to do with your life and who you are, then there might be a better path than the one on. And you really just need to go think and pray about that. And so, yeah, it's not, I would say leaders don't assume they're instantly going to be like, oh, that's brilliant, boss. I totally
Sure.
should use this plan.
Yeah, I'll quit tomorrow.
Yeah, it's but man, and maybe there's a dialogue and a pushback, and he didn't know exactly. He say you need to go do X, Y, and Z. It was just like, can we open the conversation to start thinking about this? Is it like he invited me? Can we just start talking about the possibility that maybe there's a better play than the plan you mapped out here?
And I think where that's successful, because you can't just jump to that step. So where it's successful is if you do put the people first. So even as you said, Stuart Catholic, he said something along the lines of people before the job.
Yeah, right.
But not before the mission. So if you craft the relationships to be authentic and real, then you can have those tough decisions with the positive intent of, I want to help you as an individual. And if you're wavering or second guessing, then let's have a conversation about that.
Yep. Which you also mentioned something that Jack talked about, I want to bring up, and that is trust, the critical role of trust. And I thought it was so interesting, the way he went about doing that, especially when he said he stepped into his current role. It's like a new step and like new team, right? Maybe it was a marketing role, but he was talking about, he stepped into a new role. And the first thing he did was just, I need to go listen. I need to sit with everybody, do these like 100 plus, if I remember right, all these little meetings.
Yes.
And just like, tell me, talk to me. Then he says, my office door is open, get with me anytime. And we talked about that. And I'll just underline that moment. Like, he built trust by first listening, making himself available, and just like receiving. And I'm guessing there are people who poked and made complaints or pushed, and they were testing to see like, hey, how's this guy going to react if I criticize something about the company? And I didn't sit in on those meetings, but I know Jack, and he probably was like, wow, thanks for telling me, right? He listened without suddenly like shutting them down, like, you're totally wrong, you moron, right?
Right, sure.
And so
validating
that first step, and this is one of the things we say a lot when we talk about leadership, is if you want to boil it down, leaders go first. We have this 5 levels of trust, this pyramid. We help teams figure out, how do you actually build it? Because everyone says like, oh, we should do trust. And then we don't know, like, how do you do it? And so one of the keys to this kind of going from level 1 up to level 5 of trust is the idea that the leader goes first each time. Each time you want to go to the next level, the leader puts themselves out there first. They risk first. They open up about that category first. They invite people in there first.
Right.
And this is what Jack did. You can't ask people. I mean, he's just lived what we talk about. You can't ask people to open up until you open up. You can't ask them to listen to you until you listen to them. I mean, leaders, whatever it is you're asking your people to do or thinking, hey, we need to build this trust, you demonstrate that trust in them first. And then you invite them to reciprocate. And that is so much more healthy and functional than like, hey, all you people should open up and be vulnerable. Go.
Yes. Okay, hold on, Scott. I want to ask you more questions about this pyramid, because when we work with clients, this pyramid is so helpful to explain how.
Yeah.
Because let me tie in a factor Jack said, and then I want to hear the levels of trust that you walk clients through. So Jack had said the ultimate success factor of an organization. And I just want to pause there for a minute. The ultimate success factor is trust. And then that just blew my mind. And so I, was asking him, okay, I need to understand how. And he shared his how, which you just reiterated, was, connecting 15 minutes with all 100 people, and then opening his doors to have conversations in that order. And so when you and I were thinking about reflecting on this conversation, I wanted to have us go through, okay, how do we help our clients go through building trust?
Yeah.
Because that's the key to this, is how. You could try replicating what Jack did, but bring it back to this pyramid, because that's really solid.
So yeah, I'll do a tiny bit of background on the pyramid, and then we'll walk through the short version. So, trust, there's books on trust, how important trust is. I think Jack's profound when he's like, it's the ultimate success factor. Like, if you want to pick one variable, that's the biggest predictor of whether you're going to be successful or not. Powerful. Now what? Right? Like, okay. Cross my fingers and hope we trust each other. Like, what do you actually do? So that's where I was at. And younger leader, and this is years ago, trying to figure it out, went through, and I started dissecting the relationships that I had that were trusting, and went like just historical. What did we do? Like, where did it come from? When were the moments I would say I trust? And so we started breaking it down. And so first thing I'd say is, trust is this big, beautiful, vague word that's this giant umbrella with actually more details underneath it. And so we think it's like trust, no trust. Like, that's it. Like, I don't know, we didn't trust each other, and then magically one day we had trust. What do you mean? And there's different kinds of trust. And so trust in somebody's competence and their technical skill or job ability is like totally different than trust in their character, their heart, and they have good intentions for me. I mean, I bet everyone listening can think of somebody who they really trust has a good heart for them, right? Maybe your sweet aunt or your crazy uncle, and like, what a good guy. But you would not like let him operate surgery on you, or maybe even drive the car, right? Like, sweet lady, she cares, but I am not putting her in charge of my company. And also, you can think of people who are the other way around. Man, that guy's sharp. Man, she is brilliant, but she also does not care about me. And so, like, maybe I would not put her in a position to decide whether I win or not. And so, and of course, ideally both. And so we're talking less about the technical skill side and more about the character side here. How do you build the relationship where I'm like, I can open up and feel safe being vulnerable and risky, inviting them in, sharing the real stuff, wrestling through hard things together, let them speak in and give me advice, and it would actually be good for me. And so how do you build that side of the equation? And when I go through the sequence, here's what I realized. There's a necessary sequence. Like, it's just a natural process of how humans build relationships. And so level one, you think pyramid, it's the big fat one at the bottom, it's the widest. And as we go, they get narrower, because there's fewer and fewer people who get to the higher and higher levels of trust.
Okay.
So I don't have many people that are level 5 trust with me. In fact, some people don't have anybody at that level. It's not a given, but level 1's the basic knowledge. So if you would think like the words that go in each of the layers, knowledge would go in the level. Like and on the side, sliding up the pyramid would be share. So we share, have something at every level. At level 1, we share knowledge. It's the simplest, basic relationship. Most people would call this an acquaintance. Hey, I know stuff about you. You know stuff about me. Oh yeah, I know them. They're kids in my class. Or hey, we go to church together. Or, I'd see them at the gym. Like, I just know these people. I might know where they go to school or know their name. Now the word share matters here. So I know a lot about Michael Jordan. I grew up in his glory days. And so, I mean, unfortunately, I don't think Michael knows, I don't even knows that I exist, right? Like, we've never had by the way, if you're listening, Michael, like, let's talk, buddy.
Right.
Listen,
have some back and forth share.
We've been best friends forever. You just don't know it, right? Like, no, it doesn't work that way. It has to be mutual. And so knowledge about is not what I'm talking about. It's shared knowledge. Hey, we both know stuff about, and there's a mutuality. And so when that happens, hey, that's the lowest level of relationship. There's a little bit. I'm like, yeah, I know who you are. It's more than Michael Jordan and I have right now. There's no trust between us right now. We can all think of these people.
Yeah, the acquaintances.
Level 2 is you share experiences. So you go from knowledge to experiences. Now we do stuff together. And so we We part of the same workouts in class in the gym. We
Mhm.
go to the same soccer games for our kids. If you want to start thinking like this works for all kinds of relationships. This is not just business. Romantically, right? This is like, I know a little bit about that person. This is when you start going on dates and you're like, hey, let's do experiences together. Or your buddies, like, hey, let's go out and have some fun. Or work teams. You go do a project together and you start sharing experiences.
Or maybe lunch together, grab a coffee, like very
Yes.
simple.
Listen, the single most universal human bonding experience is eating together. Humans in all cultures and all times bond by eating together. It's a shared experience. You could have the same conversation, just talking, or you have it over food, and now we're having a shared food experience, and now we've bonded better. It is a universal bond, but it's like the easy experience mechanism. It's just like the peak kind of classic experience we share together. We talk.
Can I pause for a minute?
Yeah.
So, because, all right, I'm pretending I'm a leader and I'm listening to all of this and I'm trying to think, how do I build more trust with my team? Well, first, start to get to know them, share knowledge, schedule time to talk and just truly listen. And then 2, start scheduling some lunches, team lunches. Because here, what I'm hearing is this doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to do a ropes course or a trust fall or,
Well, and those are ways to have fun experiences together. But you know what I found? So by the way, I used to be that consultant who totally did trust falls and I've high ropes courses. I have done more than my fair share. Partly because I love that stuff. Like, I'm the extreme sports nerd. I'm like, what? This is everybody's idea of an ultimate retreat, right? We're all going to jump off this giant telephone pole. Great. Like, no, I eventually found some people didn't actually have fun. Weird. Like, they're not all like me, Caitlin. It's so weird. On the other hand, what I found to be even more valuable, it's not invaluable, it's not no value, but I found to be more valuable, the better experience than going off site and doing, whitewater rafting. Work on an actual challenging project together and win. Like solve a real problem together. That experience is even more. So literally, not only do you not need to spend the money for an expensive offsite, you're going to have more bonding over like roll up your sleeves and let's do something together. So leaders, like you could, hey, this is what a lot of leadership teams do. We're going to get together and everybody's going to report out on what they're doing. Now we know about what's happening in each other's areas. And that's it. We're not bonding much. You want to bond your team? Boring. Thank you. Terrible meeting.
I was waiting to see where you were going with that because I'm like, that sounds so boring, Scott.
Yeah, but that's what most people do in leadership team meetings.
Correct.
Well, instead, let's have a shared experience. Hey, Caitlin, bring your stuff. Let's spend our time actually as a team working on your deal. Maybe go into your part of the business. Maybe physically go to your zone, meet with your people, pull your materials out, and we all wrestle. And we have the shared experience of working together. It's okay, but we're still just level 2. Now, this is good. And it's better, right? And you have a lot of people you know a little bit about. You'll have fewer people, but still a good bunch of people you can have a lot of experiences with. Level 3 is where you share opinions.
Okay.
I actually think about this. What I think works, what I doesn't. Now, at the easy, shallow end of the opinion pool is fun stuff like what do you think is the best movie? We could get into fun. Now, it can get pretty serious though. I mean, right, So let me pause. One of the factors here is as you go up, people are testing, am I still safe? Do you still see me and respect me, or am I okay here? Now, right. As you increase, the level of risk increases. And so the time it requires for people to feel comfortable, the effort to get them to open up takes more. It's pretty easy to get to level 1. This is what Jack did right out of the gate. He says, listen, because a lot of bosses do this. They come tell everybody about themselves. Hey, I'm Jack. Here's all my cool stuff. Well, he didn't hear anybody else. Guess what? He's never even got off the ground with level 1. What he does is level 1, tell me about yourself. Oh yeah, I'll tell you about myself, but everybody knows about the boss. We all talk about who the boss is. Oh, you hear about the boss? Caitlin just took over the department. Let's talk about her, right? Everybody knows everything about you and tells all make up stories. It's great, right?
Yes.
But if Caitlin doesn't talk to me, then we don't have trust. It's a Michael Jordan relationship, right?
Oh, right.
So he immediately says, let's set a baseline. I want to know you. I want to know the names of your kids. Remember, he said that? Like, I remember family. Yeah.
Right.
So,
And then he said that then people start asking him about how his date went with his wife, so we're
so,
really
so
connecting
we're level
on
one
that.
sharing, and now we start
Mhm.
working together, right? And start doing this
Mhm.
stuff. You get to level 3, and it's like, I mean, this is getting pretty risky. Now, the movie's not so risky, right? I mean, the question is, can we
Safe
disagree
topic.
and still like each other? Now,
Right.
obviously, the correct answer is The Matrix, the best movie of all time. So if you don't agree, then hey, we're gonna.
I fell asleep in that movie.
No, that's the greatest of all time. Okay, I watched that movie the perfect way to watch that movie. And I'm also like a total nerd, and like it was like this was my movie. But my roommate and I, hey, this is in the 90s. If you got to go back, there was no like internet movie searches, let alone smartphones. You would have to call the hotline and see if something was playing.
I remember
And
this. Yes.
sometimes we didn't even do that. So like this time, it was literally a bunch of us would say, hey, it's Friday night. You want to go hit the movies? And there was like 10 or 12 of us. And we just showed up at the movie theater around like 6:45, 7 o'clock, and just was going to see what's playing. Like,
Yeah.
stuff will be playing around 7. So we'll just go see what's there. And most of the group, everybody but me and my roommate, Garth, listen, you remember this moment, buddy. It was life-changing for us. Everyone else decides they want to go see the Out-of-Towners.
Okay.
I don't know why I always remember that, but it's like Steve Martin, Goldie Hawn, like turned out to be, I think, a pretty lame movie. Later did see it, and I was like, oh yeah, good call, man. We were in the moment, we're like, that doesn't look very interesting. And the only other thing playing for the next hour was this movie called The Matrix.
The Matrix.
And we had heard nothing about it. Nothing. So we go in completely blind, and I can't say more because if you've not seen The Matrix, the first 15 minutes, you're like, what is happening? And
that's where I fell asleep.
Well, then there's this moment where Trinity jumps and the camera spins around her, first time ever done. And in slow motion, I remember like turning and like we look at each other in the theater, like eyes busting out of our head, like, what is happening?
Whoa.
Greatest
okay,
experience.
That sounds pretty epic.
All right, sorry. So you can disagree with me, and we can still respect each other, right?
Right. Correct.
My wife also, for the record, fell asleep in The Matrix. So a lot of the people I love and trust didn't agree with me. Okay, but you're like, okay, that's not that big of a deal, Scott. If we decided to talk about,
and you have trust if you each are willing to share the opinions,
but
right?
opinions can get risky. Like if we talk politics, let's not go there, right? We could get our podcast listeners, they'll get into a fight with us on this. Whichever opinion we pick, right?
Right. Oh gosh, yes.
It doesn't matter, right? Middle, left, you pick something, somebody's going to be mad at you. That's a risky opinion to share. Now, here's what we would say. So you get this idea, right? It goes up. So knowledge, you share experiences, you share opinions. Level 4, you share feelings.
Oh boy.
And I open up how I actually feel, not just what I think about the movie, but how did that movie make me feel? Business-wise, not, hey, do I think this is the right strategy? Should we hire this person or not? What's the goal we should set? How do I feel about how we're doing? How did your comment affect me? Like that's much riskier. You see, we're getting pretty narrow, but the tip of the pyramid is successes and failures. When we share our failures and our successes. I used to not think successes were as risky. And I actually realized, maybe it's just American culture, but dude, if you say you're like, dude, we won and we're awesome and I'm really good at this,
right?
That's like very awkward socially. People will immediately start joking you and tearing you down, and like it's not okay.
Yeah.
Unless you have a very special, very high trust relationship. And this is where I would say, man, this is the level 5 most people don't have, is do you have somebody that you could say, man, I just totally screwed up. And they're like, man, that sucks. Let's talk. And you don't lose the relationship. Or even, man, I was on fire today. I just crushed it. And they're not gonna be like, okay, buddy, right? Like they're just totally like so proud of you. That is super rare, super powerful. Now, last comment on this. Most teams get to this point and they're like, man, we can't get to level 5. What am I? That's okay. In order to be a high functioning business team, you need level 3 at least.
Level 3. Okay. Up to opinions.
If you get to 4 or 5, then those are bonuses. Those do accelerate or enhance your performance. But if you can't do level 3, you are not a healthy leadership team. which in our customer experience engine, right, this is the belt that runs behind all the gears, is a healthy leadership team. And that's
Yes.
the one of the top metrics. We have 3 different things we look at, but that's the first and most critical one, is have you gotten to at least level 3 as a team where you can challenge each other's opinions and all still respect each other? Because if you can't work together and solve problems together and make decisions. It's not safe to disagree, and the team breaks down and everyone pulls back in their silo.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's about this trust. Can I disagree with you on the strategy or the thing we're doing, and know that we're still going to be good with each other even if we don't agree?
Yeah. Okay. So again, then if I'm a leader listening to this and you're thinking, oh yeah, we don't quite exactly have a safe environment to share opinions. So taking the spirit of Toyota and Lexus, Kaizen, continuous improvement, work on one small thing at a time.
That's right. Get to know each other a little more. Yes, exactly.
Yep. Share information about each other, have some casual conversations, take someone out for coffee or lunch, right? Kind of start building up the levels, and then set the stage for feeling high trust to share opinions.
Yes. And be like Jack Hollis, you go first.
Yes.
You open them up first. You say, hey, let me tell you about my opinions. I could be wrong. Please, somebody challenge me. And then this is key. When they challenge you, they're going to be like, is it safe to disagree? Like, start with an easy one. Maybe don't start with like, how well do you think I'm doing as a leader? Go, right? Like, okay, you're probably not going to get there right out of the gate, right?
Yeah,
go Kaizen, incremental, one step at a time, but say, hey, there's this decision we have to make as a team, and I'm not sure. I'm kind of leaning this way, but I could easily go that way. What do you guys think? And just you go first, put your stuff out there, and then, hey, thanks for your input. I'll go think about it. You don't have to agree with everybody, but you have to make it safe to have different opinions and be like, I still like you. Good job. Thanks for challenging me on that. Hey, I didn't decide to go that way, but man, I really love that you made me think about it. Appreciate it. And you start offering that. Then after you've modeled that, you say, hey, who else wants to put their opinions out there for us to react to? You don't say, all right, Caitlin, your turn. You put your stuff out there and we're all going to poke at it. That's not going to go well. They're either not going to really put the stuff out there, or everyone's going to get really defensive and fake. So you go first.
Yeah. Let me add something here too. So, I have a background in gamification and applying game designs to strategies and execution.
By the way, if you guys have not listened to that episode, go back a handful of episodes from this one and you will see me interviewing Caitlin about that thing. So heck yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Again, I'm a leader and I'm like, I want to develop more trust because it's the ultimate success factor of a team and an organization. So I'm going to start with knowledge. I'm going to start asking my team for their input. And you do it once. Here's my fear, Scott. You do it once and nobody speaks up because the trust isn't there yet.
Right.
So here's what I'm thinking from a gaming perspective. It takes 21 days not to build a habit. It takes 21 days to build a new routine. So practice this asking of opinions for 21 days, 3 weeks. Start to build that, yes, this is part of my new consistent action as a leader. I want your input.
Yeah.
And then your team will start to realize, oh, he or she, they're real about that. They want to hear what I have to say.
Yeah, exactly. No, in fact, I don't know if I've ever seen this happen instantly. We have all been trained by life and other leaders that maybe you shouldn't just put anything out there so casually. So yeah, you're gonna have to like rebuild a new thing. And again, the higher up pyramid you go, the longer it takes, the more time and effort. So if it's 21 days to get level 3, if you want to get level 4, it might be 21 weeks. And a lot of folks, it could be, 21 months before you feel like, hey, we could be comfortable at level 5 with somebody. And so, and those are just, ballpark numbers. It's not like, month 21, magic will happen. But like from an order of magnitude standpoint, that's the kind of thing you should be prepared for. And again, you can get to level 1 right away. Level 2 doesn't take too much time and effort. Level 3 might take some consistency where you pound at it, and then you'll start seeing performance unlock. Get this right, and this trickles into every other part of the company. The people produce the performance, the people produce the profit. You got to build trust with your people.
Absolutely. Well said.
So we could go on, but I'm just going to zoom out and say, listen, this is the heart of the engine. Yes, there's technical things, there's measures and tools and all that stuff. But in terms of sequence, I love where Jack took us was, if you don't get the people right, the other stuff doesn't work. And that's our closing challenge to you at the core. The sequence of all these engines begins with, do you have the right people? Do they see the mission? Do they are willing to talk with trust? Because if not, you might waste your time on all that other stuff. Go upstream, get people, get trust, and all the rest, the performance will follow.
Thanks for spending some time with us on your journey to legendary. If you enjoyed this episode and want more content like this, you may want to sign up for our newsletter. You can do that and learn about all the ways we are helping leaders build legendary brands at swazconsulting.com. That's www.swozconsulting.com. Greatness is possible. You just have to build the right engine.